Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be reviewing Symbolism and Christianity by Jonathan Pageau on the Peterson Academy. So I recently did a review of Intro to Nietzsche by Dr. Jordan Peterson, and you guys seem to like that video quite a bit. So I'm going to be doing reviews for every single course on the Peterson Academy when I fully complete them. Now, I'm not going to be doing like a full analysis breakdown of these courses. It's a little bit too early for that anyways. What I'm going to be giving you guys is kind of my general thoughts, spoiler free, and from that, you guys can kind of make up your own minds whether or not these courses are right for you. So I'm going to be doing every single course. Like I said, there's not a single one that isn't appealing or interesting to me, so I'm going to get my money's worth and do all of them, so expect those reviews in the future. The reason why I completed Symbolism and Christianity second is because out of all the professors on the Peterson Academy, obviously number one, for professors who I've consumed the most content from is Jordan Peterson. I've watched like every stitch of content he has on the internet. But number two would definitely be Jonathan Pageau. Now, I haven't watched every stitch of content he has on the internet, but his YouTube channel, The Symbolic World, has been very helpful to me. I think it's a brilliant channel. I recommend it to everyone. And I think Jonathan Pageau is one of the most honest Christian thinkers who I've come across. Now, I'm not going to get into my religious history or beliefs in this video. I'll save that for a separate video. But as somebody who struggled to understand religious ideas in my late teens, looking at them through a psychological or symbolic lens really helped me. So to understand Jung and watching Jonathan Pageau's videos, I ended up getting to a place where I could kind of understand these religious ideas and integrate them. So they've been incredibly helpful for me in that sense. So I think these lectures would be perfect for somebody who's more atheist or more agnostic. I think they'd be perfect for those types of people. If you're Christian, I think all this is going to do is not reaffirm your faith. That would be boring, but it's going to anchor it to a deeper place. And if you're Muslim, if you're Hindu, if you're Buddhist, you could still learn quite a bit from these lectures. I don't think you might be wondering, like, how much of it is symbolism and how much of it is Christianity? Well, when I watched these lectures, I thought it was like 80% symbolism, and then at the end, he would like get to the 20% Christianity. But you could watch these lectures and think that those numbers are completely reversed. I think it's a little bit up to interpretation, not that it's muddy in any way, but yeah, that's just kind of my views on it. So I'll run through the synopsis that's here on the Peterson Academy because it's very well worded. And then I'll kind of give my general views on the course, generally what I learned. I don't want to get into specifics because I don't want to spoil anything. And then I'll get into how were the quizzes and whether or not I think the course is worth it. So before I get into the breakdown, what I will say is that this is a 7-hour course that is split over 6 lectures. So it's half the size of Intro to Nietzsche. Intro to Nietzsche is 8 lectures currently. 4 more will be added, making it 12. I don't think there will be any more added to Symbolism and Christianity, unfortunately, so it'll be a shorter course, but I expect more from Jonathan Pageau in the future. Just from watching his videos and knowing how close he is with Jordan Peterson, I know he has a lot more to give. Watching him after Jordan Peterson shows me just how good Jordan Peterson is with words. At times, Jonathan Pageau struggles to find certain words, or he'll go off on tangents, and you can tell that he's not experienced in professorship as much as Jordan Peterson is. You can tell he's more of an iconographer, but when he gets going, my God, there's very few professors that hit you with revelation after revelation after revelation, quite like Jonathan Pageau. And English is his second language, so you got to cut him a little bit of slack. But I thought these lectures were fantastic. Not to get ahead of myself, but they were definitely worth it to me. So here's the synopsis on the Peterson Academy. It's in Symbolism and Christianity, a 7-hour course. Jonathan Pageau guides us through the world of symbolism, exploring how meaning and purpose are woven into the fabric of reality. We delve into the fractal patterns that structure our perception and understanding, from the cosmic to the particular, and examine how these patterns manifest in stories, traditions, and everyday life. The course emphasizes the importance of recognizing and engaging with timeless symbols and rituals as a way to find meaning, hope, and connection in an increasingly fragmented world. So that's just beautiful, and that basically sums up the course pretty well. Now, some people Some people will criticize Jonathan Pageau of Jesus smuggling. I hear that criticism more of Jordan Peterson, and I understand it more with Jordan Peterson. Jonathan Pageau, I think, is actually one of the best in the world at not Jesus smuggling. He'll walk you right up to Jesus, and there's no tricks. You see it the whole way. His hands aren't behind his back, and what I mean by that is he'll walk you through symbolism, and he'll get you to this spot, and then he'll start introducing the Christian ideas, but at that point you're already at a spot that's by definition Christian. So what exactly do I mean by that? Well, I'll give you a slight example. Now, I'm not a professor, so bear with me here. You should go watch Jonathan Pageau because he's much better at explaining this stuff. But what he'll kind of do is he'll go, okay, let's talk about the hero archetype. Let's take 3 examples. We'll take Anakin Skywalker, Harry Potter, and Frodo Baggins, right? What characteristics from those 3 heroes make them good, and what do they have in common? And you'll take those characteristics like courage, like truth, honesty, virtue. You'll take all these characteristics that they have in common, and that will become the hero archetype, right? And that'll make up that archetype. And then he'll say that there's an ultimate version of that, and that's Jesus Christ. But we'll get to that in a second. But the commonalities that these heroes have that are good make up the hero archetype. Now, the things that make them different are the unique characteristics that make each character interesting, right? Because if every story was exactly the same, it would be redundant and we would get bored and we would stop engaging with the stories. So they have to have unique bits about them. But at the same time, each hero story is in some ways the same. So he kind of explains that. And another cool thing is he'll explain things that maybe you think certain things are unique about those characters that aren't actually unique. So here's a cool one that I learned. I don't know if this was directly from Jonathan Pageau, but you take Anakin Skywalker, right? He has a lightsaber. You might say, well, that makes him pretty unique. You know, Frodo Baggins and Harry Potter, they don't have lightsabers, but they do. Frodo Baggins has a sword that glows blue. It's actually the same color as Luke Skywalker's or Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. It's the same color, and it glows when enemies are near. So there's symbolism in that as well. So he has to use his sword, Frodo, as a tool, to guide him with light through the tunnels when he's going after, I forget the spider's name. And he uses it to alert his friends when goblins are coming. But he also uses it as a sword to cut people down. So he uses the sword as a tool when it needs to be used as a tool, and a weapon when it needs to be used as a weapon. And it's taught the same in Star Wars, right? They even say it, that the lightsaber is a tool, and it needs to be used with respect. Because what happens when you use a lightsaber and you kill indiscriminately? The crystal starts to bleed red, and then, it turns red and you become a Sith, and all of that. It's all connected there. But you might say, okay, Harry Potter, that's not a laser sword. Where's his sword of light? Well, we'll take the sword of Gryffindor and put that aside, because that actually glows in the 7th movie or whatever. But his wand glows. Every second scene in the Harry Potter movies, they're using their wands as lights. So it's a tool of light, but it's also a sword, because that's their main form of combat, is using their wands. They cast spells at each other, right? So it's a weapon and a tool at the same time, and it has this aspect of light, of guiding the hero forward. I think it's Sleeping Beauty, where the prince has the sword of truth and the shield of virtue. That just gets repeated through every hero story. So even things that you think are unique to certain characters, they're actually the same amongst all the characters. So it's cool when you start to see the symbolism in these stories and it starts to connect for you. You can start to see it everywhere. And that's what Jonathan Pageau walks you through. And then he'll bring a character like Christ in, and he'll say, well, this is the perfect hero archetype. Like forget his historical significance. Like put all that stuff aside. Let's just look at the archetype of Christ. There's no other hero archetype that you could make that's better than Christ. First of all, he's, all good. He doesn't commit sin. So if you don't accept Christ and you put maybe Anakin Skywalker as your highest moral good, or as your final version of the hero archetype, he's good for most of the films, but he also slaughtered a temple full of younglings. So, that might not be the actual best archetype to put at the head. You might want to put Jesus at the head, because he's the perfect archetype. He commits no sin. He has the most brutal death. There's a whole bunch of reasons that make him the perfect archetype. I'm not going to explain them all today, because, well, then I'll be doing Jonathan Pageau's job for him, and you guys should go watch his lectures. Don't take it from me, but that's kind of what he's doing. He's like leading you up to understanding the world symbolically. And then you're kind of at a point where you're dealing with the religious anyways. So then it's a lot easier to understand where in the hierarchy things in religion actually get placed and why they're there. Another thing that I like about the lectures is he's not just looking at stories. Now he does, he looks at Star Wars, he looks at Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Snow White. He looks at all these stories, and he's not just looking at symbols either. He's also looking at traditions. He's looking at rituals. He's looking at family dinner, and he's breaking that down symbolically. What does that mean? And he stresses throughout these lectures that it's more important to understand the symbolic significance of things like Santa Claus or the Christmas tree than where they actually came from, like their historical births, I guess. So it's very interesting to watch him walk you through this slowly. And then for me, it's not like it all clicked at the end. It was clicking all the way through, but he walks you through and you're kind of slowly developing this lens where you can see the world through symbolism. And then it all starts to, and then you start to see the hierarchy of it too. Like, which things symbolically get placed above which other things, and why is it that way, and why are things placed on the right hand and the left hand. And once you start to understand all of that, the world looks a lot clearer, I find, at least for myself. So I found these lectures to be very useful. I'll go over the quizzes quickly, and then I'll go over some kind of final thoughts. So the quizzes were different. I actually found them more difficult than the Intro to Nietzsche questions, even though the Intro to Nietzsche questions were kind of based off of more substance. I feel like there's more facts said in the Intro to Nietzsche lectures rather than here. It's a lot of talking about symbolism, and you really have to pay attention to how he's phrasing things, because half of the questions you could take blindly. You could go take them now without watching the lectures, and even if you've seen some of Jordan Peterson or Jonathan Pageau's content, if you've read a little bit of Jung, you'll be able to answer the questions because they're fairly like common knowledge, basic stuff. But some of them are some of them are tough. Some of them are like very specific ways that he's phrasing stuff, and then option A and option B are very close, but you need to get the exact phrasing that he said in the lecture. And some of the questions are a little bit more difficult in that way. So I did fairly well on the quizzes, but, I found that some of them were very easy and some of them were very difficult. Like, you had to remember specific things that he was saying. So definitely pay attention during these lectures. The quizzes were no joke. Now, there is no final exam yet. Like I said, there's no final exams for any of the courses yet. When there are final exams, I will let you guys know. I'll let you know how they were. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the quizzes. Fairly easy, but like I said, you have to pay a lot of attention to what he's saying specifically in the lectures and just how he's phrasing it. But yeah, these lectures were fantastic. I mean, learning about the nativity scene, Santa Claus, and the Christmas tree and what that means symbolically. It was very cool. I'm not going to spoil anything. You guys have to go watch the lectures yourself. But the way he breaks it down is very, very cool. It helps me to understand the holidays better. Helps me to understand why we should be having family meals better. Like, after watching these 6 lectures, family meals are very important to me now. I'm going to make an effort to go and have more meals with grandma and stuff. So, yeah, I thought this course was fantastic. Is it worth it? Absolutely. I think if you're agnostic, atheist, religious, any kind of religion, I think you can get something out of this course. There's a lot of gold here. And if you're open-minded enough, like, you can learn quite a bit from just these 6 lectures. There's a lot here. I'm probably going to rewatch some of these because, like I said, they were kind of going all over the place, not in a bad way, kind of going all over the place and down these rabbit holes. And that's kind of how you have to talk about symbols anyways. But yeah, they were incredibly enlightening. I found them to be fantastic. So those are my thoughts on Symbolism and Christianity by Jonathan Pageau. Ultimately, I think it's absolutely worth it to take this course. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions about the course, let me know down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. It helps boost this channel in the algorithm. The last couple Jordan Peterson Academy videos I've made have actually pushed me past the 500 sub mark. So I'm very, very pumped about that. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully we can get to 1,000 soon. And yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.